Let's talk about an overview of the lymphatic system. Remember, the function of the lymphatic system is protection against illness and disease. We're constantly using this system to evaluate what's going on inside of our body to see if anything is impacting homeostasis from an illness and disease standpoint, specifically if we're impacted by antigens, which we often call our bacteria, our viruses, or parasites, things that can disrupt the machinery of our cells and overtake our cells. And when we see this, we tend to have symptoms that show that we're sick. But those symptoms are a good thing because it shows we're fighting off something. And we have all kinds of different defense mechanisms. And we just start with our skin. That protects us from illness and disease because it's the barrier of our body. It's that windshield that protects us. But when we get into the lymphatic system, now it's more specialized. It's specialized with cells that we call T cells, B cells, NK, or natural killer cells. And what we're doing is we're taking the fluid that's moving around inside the cardiovascular system and pulling from that, and we're checking it. What are we checking for? Something that we've been exposed to inside of our body that's made its way in that could harm us. So when we talk about the lymphatic system, what we're doing is looking at the exchange of the cardiovascular system and the lymphatic system. So when we talk about the fluid lymph, that's the special fluid that's flowing through the body. When we go back to our types of tissues, there's 4 types of tissues in the body: epithelial, connective, muscle, and nervous. When we talk about connective tissue, 3 types: connective tissue proper, fluid, and supporting. Our fluid are 2 types, blood and lymph, and they're closely associated with each other because we're exchanging that fluid that we call the interstitial fluid. Remember, interstitial fluid is the fluid outside of our cells within the tissues. So what's happening is, as we provide good oxygenated blood to the body, just pick anywhere part of the body, provide that oxygenated blood, we supply it to the tissues, and we're bringing in all the nutrients, the gases, exchanging the waste, including our carbon dioxide, and that's going to go through our veins, where we exchange as those arteries get smaller and smaller and become arterioles, exchange at a capillary bed, and then it goes into venules and extend into our veins to go back to the heart. What we're doing is pulling from that capillary bed and that interstitial fluid, roughly about 10 to 15% of all of the fluid. Remember, the fluid, the blood matrix, is the plasma. That's the water of the blood that's moving all the solutes, everything it's bringing with it, including the oxygen, nutrients, and gases. So what we're doing is it's taking just a smaller part of that blood stream, and then we're going to check it, and that's when it becomes lymph. So then we put it through all of the different vessels that you see, the green vessels all throughout the body that we call lymphatic vessels. And these lymphatic vessels are similar to veins. They're under lower pressure. They use valves to pressurize and push the fluid throughout the body. Our goal is to get it through the lymph nodes. So we have up to about 600 lymph nodes to our body. They can be anywhere from like a millimeter up to an inch. And we see them, they're bigger into our abdominal area, where we tend to focus on them when you're checking and you're looking at your neck, because we have cervical lymph nodes there that we're evaluating what's going on from an illness and disease perspective. Are you sick? Because we see these accumulate with fluid and cells when we have something we're exposed to, because your body's fighting it off. Part of that inflammation process is helping to provide the support for what you need when you're sick. Within those lymph nodes, you have T cells, B cells, and natural killer cells. Majority of our cells are T cells, and these are the ones that are directly attacking cells. B cells tend to block, and we use antibodies for those, and those B cells tend to either block around an antigen, say a bacteria, or put a marker on it for the body to recognize that this does not belong in our body. NK, natural killer cells. Natural killer cells are helping to destroy some of the cells that are either old or damaged or cancerous cells. So if you have a lot of accumulation of these cells within a lymph node, and they're segregated in different parts of the body. So within the cervical region, we have cervical lymph nodes. In the axillary at the armpit, we have axillary nodes. And then as I come down to the abdominal area, when we talk about the mesenteries of the digestive system, I have mesenterial lymph nodes. And then down in the groin at the inguinal area, I have inguinal lymph nodes. So they're aggregated in different spots. So the overall goal is to exchange the blood throughout the body, provide that good oxygenated blood, exchange it with the blood we use, and it goes back to the heart. But we're going to pull about 10 to 15% of that fluid at the interstitial fluid, and let's just say that we do that at the knee. So we're pulling that fluid, and then we're going to start to pass it through a series of lymph nodes. And the goal is for it to pass through this tissue. In another video, we'll look at the histology of a lymph node, but we have reticular tissue within all of our lymph nodes. And that reticular tissue provides that structural framework, but is also going to allow for the accumulation of cells to recognize and fight off things that belong. So the T cells, B cells, NK cells. So we accumulated that fluid. We're going to pass it through the lymph nodes. It's going to go all the way up to the point where we hit a structure, a pouch called cisterna chyli. And then it's going to try to get back into the bloodstream. Remember, we took it from the bloodstream, so we got to put it back. So we keep recirculating. We have to maintain that volume and that pressure for everything to circulate. So how do we do that? It's asymmetrical, meaning when we look at the way we put it back in the bloodstream, it's not even. So what we use is we're going to take just the abdominal area right at the diaphragm, and I'm going to take a line, just go like this here. So running across here is where I can now change what things are happening here. So as I look at this, all of everything above on the right side from my diaphragm up and all the way down my right arm is handled by one specific duct. So everything that I've filtered all the way through on the lymphatic side, all the way on the right arm, my right chest, my right side of my head, is all going to dump right here at what we call the right lymphatic duct. And it's just this small aggregate duct that's accumulated all of the lymph, and it's going to dump it back into the cardiovascular system. Now that right lymphatic duct, depending on how you read in the book, is really at the junction of the internal jugular vein and the subclavian vein. I teach it's at the subclavian vein, but it's right at that junction. So sometimes you'll see it as the internal jugular or subclavian, but it's right where it's coming together at that point. So all of this will connect into the venous supply at the subclavian vein to then go into my brachiocephalic vein, superior vena cava, and now I'm back into the heart at the right atrium. And now it becomes part of the bloodstream again. So that's referring to collection of lymph all the way on this right side only. So my right arm, my right thorax, or right side of the head. When I'm collecting everything else, all of my limbs, both left and right leg, when I come up to my abdominal area, my left arm, my left chest or thorax, and my left side of my head, all of that is dumping into the left lymphatic duct. So again, it's asymmetrical. Everything is going to accumulate and it's going to come up and dump into the same type of process. The left lymphatic duct then jumps into or connects to the left subclavian vein into superior vena cava. How do we do that? Through the brachiocephalic vein. So I go left lymphatic duct right into my subclavian vein, which hits into the brachiocephalic vein to superior vena cava. I'm back into the right atrium. If I'm coming from the lower limbs, I come up through that little pouch, cisterna chyli. And through all of the chest, it's called the thoracic duct. And you might see these interchangeable, thoracic duct and left lymphatic duct, because it's all connected. But the thoracic duct is the tube that goes behind the heart here and comes up into the left lymphatic duct to dump into the subclavian vein. So it's asymmetrical. And what we're doing is filtering. All we're doing is a checkpoint. We take part of the blood and check it. It's going to go through a series of lymph nodes to where we have the lymphocytes, T cells, B cells, natural killer cells, to identify, is there anything that doesn't belong here? So we mark them. We send out signals to the body because we have up to 600 of these lymph nodes that contribute to a constant filtering as you're going through a checkpoint. So as you go through a security checkpoint, whether it's police or law enforcement, they're just checking a sample. Is everything okay? If not, then we need to make some changes and your body reacts. So that's the overall flow when we look at lymph. A couple of the accessory structures that we see are also the thymus. So the thymus is on the anterior side of the heart. Thymus is referring to how we actually mature T cells. So when we say T cells, T is referring to thymus, meaning they mature in the thymus. T cells are our cytotoxic direct target cells, that the killer T cells, that they directly attack cells that don't belong, or antigens, bacteria, viruses, parasites. So we directly attack T cells. They grow in the bone marrow, or they develop in the bone marrow, but they actually mature in the thymus. And the thymus is both an endocrine and a lymphatic structure. So the lymphatic part is maturing of the T cells, but it needs hormones to do that. So we have specific hormones that are produced by the thymus to help contribute to this maturation. The thymus is more prominent, more active as a child and then into puberty because we're developing the immune system. Over time, it'll go through what we call involution or shrinkage. So it's shrinking over time because we develop our immune system. So it becomes less active and turns more into adipose tissue. It can still secrete some T cells, but for the most part, it decays or involutes or shrinks over time. And that's directly in front of the heart. So we have the thymus. And then one of our major lymphoid organs, and we'll also look at the histology in another video, is the spleen. So the spleen is in the upper left quadrant on the lateral side of my body, just behind the stomach. And when I look at the spleen, its goal is to filter some of the erythrocytes, or red blood cells. And what it's doing is filtering out the damaged ones, because we know erythrocytes don't have a long lifespan, so they're destroying those. But it also is evaluating what do we have for illness and disease. So it also has what we call white pulp inside that are aggregates of lymphocytes, again, T cells, B cells, natural killer cells, as an additional way to evaluate, are we being exposed to something? So this is just a quick overview of the lymphatic system, of understanding what are the primary components to it: the thymus, the spleen, and the lymph nodes. But it's the lymph nodes that are doing the filtering, just like a coffee filter would, a water filter. It's filtering out and determining what do we have. And then if we have a response, we start to alert the rest of the body for stimulation to create the symptoms that you have when you're sick. Those symptoms are telling you something going on. I think the hardest part for students to understand is this, again, is asymmetrical. We're taking part of that plasma as we provide good oxygenated blood to the body, take 10 to 15% of it out of it, the interstitial fluid, but we got to put it back in the bloodstream. And that's where we come up and we look at that, we get into the right side, the right lymphatic duct, and the left lymphatic duct. Put it back into the cardiovascular system, and we repeat over and over again. This is an overview of the lymphatic system.